helpful way to understand what we mean by documentation, and it's really complicated, and I wouldn't even say that I have a complete, full understanding of it. But would be to have you guys just write down what's your own working definition of documentation, and then put up a definition that took us 10 years to come up with, and ask you to compare and contrast, because we thought long and hard about what are the components of documentation. So we define documentation as the process of, and then there are 4 verbs, so observing, recording, interpreting, and sharing through different media. So ideally it's not just words or not just pictures, but at least 2. The processes and products of learning, so it's not just about a test score or a product, it's making visible the process. And then why are you doing this? In order to deepen learning. So at least when we talk about documentation that makes learning visible, it has to have some connection to deepening learning. It might be your own learning as a teacher, it might be other teachers' learning, it might be the community's learning, it might be the kids' learning. It all depends on why are you documenting to begin with. And because if you don't know why you're documenting, you won't know what to do with it once you have it. So with our teachers, we spent a fair amount of time coming up with questions that they were interested in learning more about. Like how can we, for example, how can we involve students in the formation of small groups? So that was something they were curious to know more about. They documented it in various ways and then looked at that documentation together with colleagues. Because in Reggio Emilia, interpretation is subjective, and sometimes I think in the United States that's not as good as objective. But we would say, in fact, there's nothing wrong with it being subjective. It's just that you need multiple perspectives, and in fact, you bring a richness of analysis and observation. But you want multiple perspectives and to ground your interpretations in the documentation.